Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica, also known as Silver in general around the interwebs. It is Wednesday, July 19th. I just wanted to say a quick hello to all new viewers and a welcome back to all returning viewers. I really do appreciate you coming by. I have a lot to talk to you about, so we should probably just get started. So grab your drink of choice, your crafting, and away we go. This week, I'm actually drinking a lovely chai tea from Stash Teas. Oh, absolutely love it. Anyway, so today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, as you can probably already tell. My hubby will be joining us for this episode, and he'll be playing through a game and commenting on things from time to time. So, if you've been listening to me for any length of time, you've heard me speak about MDI. This is him.
Hello.
Yes,
You
this is
probably hear me clicking buttons over here.
yes. So thank you for saying hi, hon. I wasn't sure if you were going to.
Why
Um,
say hi?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Anyway, we may be joined briefly by Mario the cat from time to time. He does like to rub himself up against everything, especially if we're currently using something. He's a little bit of a troll that way, but we love him anyway. I just want to let you guys know, just in case the microphones get muffled or anything like that, and if things don't sound so clear, obviously, and clicking and stuff like that. So, yeah, Mario might even decide to sit on the computer, as you've already experienced with me before. So, hon, what are you going to be playing through today?
So, I am playing through Streets of Rage 2, which is a 1992 beat 'em up brawler, whatever you want to call it, by Sega. Kind of Sega's answer to Final Fight. And music by Yuzo Koshiro, who was the reason we went to the last MagFest that we went to, which I believe was 4 years ago now.
Mm,
Um, I actually had not intended on going any more MagFest after the previous one.
hmm.
But I had basically said to the organizers
Yeah.
after they got Nobuo Uematsu that year, which was the composer of Final Fantasy, among many other games.
Hmm.
Um, I basically said to them, not expecting them to actually be able to pull it off. If you got Yuzo Koshiro, that would
Hmm.
be awesome, and I'd probably go. And long story short is they called my bluff and they got Yuzo Koshiro. So I was like, well, I guess we're going to Magfest one more time.
Oh, we had fun either way.
We did have fun.
All right. So, first category, your favorite things. What would you like to talk about today?
My favorite things. That depends. Are we talking about what you're listening to later on?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually? Okay. So, my favorite things. Alright, so I'll talk to what I've been listening to, I guess, when we get to that section. So, my favorite things. I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams, as I always do.
Mm,
And more specifically, I've been trying to watch some streams of various games in the Tetris the Grandmaster series.
I guess.
Um, you might think a Tetris is a Tetris, and you would be very wrong. Tetris the Grandmaster is at its highest levels. It is
Mm,
insanely fast, and there's not a lot of reaction time.
mm,
So I've actually been playing something called Textmaster, which is basically a computer clone, I guess you would call it, of the Tetris the Grandmaster series. And I'm
yeah.
not very good at it yet. That's why I'm not playing it for this.
Oh,
We would get a lot of games of Textmaster in the time it will take me
right.
to play through Streets of Rage once. So um, that is mainly what I've been watching, just a lot of Twitch streams and whatnot.
Mm.
Also, my favorite things, being off from my second job for a couple days after working between the two jobs a bunch of days in a row.
That's a big one. Let me go on to my favorite things if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, cool. This week I have two specifically. One, I got a fidget spinner, y'all. I actually got it on Sunday morning, sorry, and I just can't stop staring at it and using it. I actually texted MTI after I got the mail from the box, and I said, I found the golden snitch. It's in the mailbox. I was like, sorry. I was a little punchy that morning. I hadn't had my coffee.
So why don't you explain to the viewers why you mentioned the golden snitch in the fidget spinner?
Yes.
So,
Well, that's part of my enabling for this week. I also have gotten a couple other shipments too. They're both from Desert Vista Dye Works. Wow, say that 10 times fast, right? I did have eight different things came in two different shipments. The Happy Birthday Cupcake. And we have the Bing and the Andrews sisters. Poodle skirt. Love those. Love those. And then the second shipment came Elvis. Harold's Purple Crayon. Troll Dolls, The Happiest Place on Earth, and Mr. Darcy. 'Cause you do. As you do. All right. So far, how is the game going? As far
The
as you
game
can
is
tell.
going pretty well so far, except that I forgot to grab the secret one up right at the start. But
Oh
I
no.
will. I shall overcome. I am a professional. I will persevere. So I'm playing the game as Max, who is basically the strong, slow character.
Mhm,
A lot of the, especially beat 'em ups in the '90s, have your kind of archetypes of, you know, they all have like the big bruiser character who's really slow, and they have the weak, quick character, and then the one who's kind of average.
mhm,
Um, so I'm playing as the wrestler who just does a ton of damage to everything. But the problem is he's very slow. By the way, you could probably hear me, as I mentioned earlier, doing a clicking the buttons of the joystick I'm using.
mhm.
It's I decided recently after watching a number of arcade streams that I just really uh, liked the kind of feedback of the buttons and the joystick clicking away.
Mhm.
Uh, Kind of not quite ASMR, but kind of the same concept of just I really like the sound and the buttons and whatnot.
Oh.
Um, so Max in this game is probably one of the better characters, although not necessarily the easiest one to use.
Mhm.
Um, he's the only character I've actually once CC'd the game with, meaning one credit clear, or just beating the game without continuing. So
Yes.
uh, I am a fan of the brawly, wrestly characters in
Mhm.
beat 'em ups, in part because that is so not me in real life.
On that
So
note, let me move on to my FOs because this is actually what my viewers are definitely coming by for is the knitting. The first thing that I actually managed to finish over the past couple weeks since I've seen you last is what I'm calling This Space Be Poppin'. For this one, I got 505 yards. I did use the pattern Whiz Popper by Laura Lenneman, also known as Lala, if you all are not in the know. She is another podcaster. I did use a yarn called Lumpy Space by Violet Yarn Company. Wow. Violet Yarn Company. I love it. I used a size US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter Chigu red lace 40-inch circular needles. Wow, say that 10 times fast, huh? um, the second thing I finished was it's a flaming winged axle with a smiley face because as you do, that one got me to 760 yards or 760.88 yards if you want to be technical or you want to be exact in my case. The pattern I used was Wingspan by Mylan Tricot Designs. I cannot pronounce that to save my life. I do apologize. I'll put that everything that you see here in the podcast notes as well. So in case you need to see that or you want to look. Anyway, I used two different Jinx yarns. The brand. First is called Axel. Second is Girl on Fire. Oh, absolutely love the way this turned out. I'll make sure that you guys see photos too. I'm using it. I use a size US 4, 3.5 millimeter. Also a 40-inch Chigu red lace needle as well. I seem to have a lot of those, as MDI will attest. The third thing that I did finish was what I called Zombie Moons. This was a Yowza Weight Shawl number 4 by Susan B. Anderson. That got me a total of 560 yards. That was on a US size 8, 5.0 millimeter, the Susan Bates metal needle. That I used a Yowza skein at Miss Babs. It is called Zombie Honeymoon, hence the name, as you do. I can't even with my name sometimes. The next thing I think oh yeah, the next thing up that I finished, something that was marinating as I call it for about 2.5 years actually. I put up the exact amount of time that it took on my Instagram feed. It kind of hibernated for over a year. Um, I called the 2015 Cracker Jack. I did get 900 total yards on that. It is a take on the Cracker Jack by Stacey Simpson Duke. Wow. Words tonight. I have done this in the rounds and 2 rounds per color. Basically, every time there was a win or loss for the team that I was following, or I was making it for somebody, so the team that they followed technically. I added a border at both ends in a 2x2 ribbing. And the yarn, I used 5 different colors. The first was a Alliance brand Pound of Love colorway, white. Yay, original. And then there was also some Red Heart Super Saver I used. The light blue I used Royal, Cherry Red, and Gray Heather. Size US 8 needles is a 5.0 millimeter clover wooden DPNs. I think that's part of the reason why it took me so long. I am not good with DPNs. I have figured that out. Anyway, the fifth thing I finished was the Zombie Kit Kat, which got me 210 yards. Pattern is the Kit Kat hat by Andre Sunitz. I used the remainder of my Miss Babs Yowza Zombie Honeymoon skein because I didn't want to just put it in my stash again and, stash dash and all. Anyway, I used a size US 6 and a size US 7. They are 16-inch metal metal Susan Bates needles that I've had for a while. The second one I also did use on that same the 6 and 7s metal needles as well. This was the Cindy Loves a Kit Kat. This is the 220 yards. Also a pattern of Kit Kat hat by Andre Sunitz. The yarn on this was the Red Heart Super Saver in the coffee and a little bit of the white colorway as well. Last but not least, the last thing I finished this week, I'm calling Bring the Boom. It's a total of 244 yards that I got out of that one. The pattern is called Copper Boom by Ashley Hoggard. It's a reference to Gilmore Girls if you're not in the know as everyone else around here. Um, I used a size US 8 5.0 millimeter Susan Bates metal needles that I've had for a little while. I believe they're 30-inch cable. Anyway, I used another skein of Red Heart Super Saver. It's a Peruvian print. It's actually something that I've had in my stash for a while. So I stashed down a little bit. Didn't find anything new for this one. All right, so with these 7 FOs, I am up to 14,896 yards, or about 13,620.9 meters, if you want to be exact, for Stash Dash. This means I officially only have 1,508.2 yards, or about 1,379.1 meters left to go. So this makes me extremely happy. As MTI can attest, I'm a little ragged toward the end of Stash Dash, but it's worth it. And before I check back in with MTI, I have a hoe, y'all. Yay! I do have a hoe. It is the Vanilla Rouge. It's a pattern name is CC's Vanilla Cappuccino Socks by CC Almond. Love these socks, y'all. Nice and easy and good to do. I'm using Regia, Arnie, and Carlos in the Nome, or Nome colorway. It is wool and polymide. So fun. Anyway, no, I really love the way it's knitting up. See? You can see why. All right, so I am this time using a US 1.5 9-inch circulars. It's 2.5 millimeter needles if you're not in the US and need US sizes there. The bag that it is currently residing in is my purple Haunted Mansion bag. So, MTI, how's the game
Yes.
going?
The game is going well. I am on stage 3 of 8,
Hmm.
and I got past. Actually, the stage 2 boss is actually one of the more annoying ones for this character.
Mm.
This character is very centered on basically grabbing enemies and suplexing them or using other wrestling holds on them.
Hmm.
And the second boss is very, very resistant to that, so we don't really have a lot of ways of actually hurting that boss. So, but we got through it.
Well, that's good. Sorry, I was hoping you would talk a little bit longer because I needed
Sorry.
to have a drink. No, it's
I
not your
never know
fault.
how long I am or I'm not supposed to talk for here.
Hmm,
So,
it's fine. You're good. I got like lots to go through, but I'll let you talk.
okay.
That's how that's how our relationship has worked so long, babe.
I'm actually very bad at talking, so I have to kind of try and be good at listening.
Oh, you're good. You're good. All right. Well, unless you've got something else to talk about with the game.
No, I just grabbed a one up. So I remember the second secret one up this time. There's I think
Nice.
three of them in the game altogether, and then there's a couple more
Mhm.
that are just kind of hiding out in the open as long as you break everything. So
Uh, okay. All right. Well, let's go on to my works in progress, or WIPs for short. There are two that I actually picked up since the last time we spoke. First one I'm calling Yo Bro. Yeah. I can't tell you who I'm making these socks for, even though MTI already knows who they are for. Um, I'm using a chocolate chip cookie progress keeper by Sucre Sucre Miniatures. I love this little charm, y'all. The pattern that I'm using is called We Need a Geek to Break the Code by CC Almond. And if you haven't, well, I guess if you've been listening for a while, you know. Java Long is in full swing, y'all. I'm using a Pandios Jewels colorway. It is, sorry if I can remember. I didn't write it in my notes. Good podcast reward, y'all. Anyway, it is. I'll write it in the notes. Come back to that later. Using a size US2 2.75 millimeters 16-inch circular needles, which is more often my default for patterning socks. I'm using a knitting sheep bag. Ah, yes, as you do. Anyway, I can't even, I can't even with my brain right now. The other thing that I did cast on recently, I'm calling a Blue Love. I basically knit until I had finished up the yarn that was previously pulled from the blank while knitting on a shawl that had been frogged a couple weeks ago, if you've been listening. And then I pretty much just stopped. Um, the pattern I'm using on that one is CC's Vanilla Cappuccino Socks by CC Almond. And like I mentioned, I'm using a Gales Art single sock blank in the Blue Love color. Absolutely. I'm in love with this blank, y'all. I couldn't wait to get it started again. I'm using looks like a US 2. It's a 2.75 millimeter needles. It's 16-inch circulars for the toes and cuffs. And then I switched over to my 9-inch circulars, which seems to be my favorite way to go now. Yeah, you can't hear it. I'm playing with the tag on my tea bag. I should stop that. Um, and that I'm actually knitting right out of a Ziploc bag because it seems to be my easiest way to pull it from the blank and not have everything go flying, as I've mentioned before. Yeah, I pull a little bit too much from the ball of yarn when I'm, you know, knitting. So anyway, a couple older things that I spoke to you about before. I did a little bit of work on what I'm calling a Simply Aware, using, sorry, Lala's Simple Shawl Pattern by Lala. Yes. Using three different colors of the Premier Yarns Cotton Fair in the cotton candy, bright peach, and baby pink colors. I am using a size US 2 30-inch Chagu red lace needle, so it is taking a little bit longer, but anyway. Um, it still is coming out pretty good. I'm using my Gilmore Girls bag to host that project, which is currently on the floor by me. Anyway, the second thing that I did put a little bit of work on today, actually finished a whole washcloth today, to be honest, um, is the Super Secret Project number 2. Pattern is Bow Ties Are Cool dishcloth by Holly Nar. It's a free pattern there on Ravelry. I'm using a size US 6 4.0 millimeter, the Susan Bates metal straight needles that I have, which aren't really my favorite, but I've had them for a while, so I think I should give them a little bit of love there. Cascade 220 is the yarn I'm using, of course, in the strawberry cream color. It's super gorgeous, guys. I can't wait to get back to those. And the project itself is not in a bag. It's actually freestyling it, kind of hanging out on the couch, like whatevs. Um, the third thing that I did a little bit of work on was what I'm calling Lentilla the Hun. I did only one repeat of the frills at the very end, but it counts. It totally counts. The pattern, just to remind you, is the Lentilla by Martina Bem in the Woolmice Pure Zavril color. I think is how you pronounce it. It's a Xaverl. Yes, I don't speak. Yeah, I'm bad. Anyway, it's a size US 3, 3.25 millimeter. They are the Knitter's Pride Dreams needles that I have. I don't know if you've ever seen them, hun. They're green and lovely. Anyway, I'm using my exploding TARDIS bag because that seems to be my favorite for shawls that are just about done. Um, the next thing I made a pretty good amount of progress on this one. In fact, I was planning on working on it as we were recording, but it was just too distracting. um, but I absolutely love the color, and I'm probably going to be working on it as I'm editing later. So, yay me! It is called Later Gator. Yes. I'm using the Yowza Way Shawl number 2 by Susan B. Anderson. Color of Yowza is Gator Bait. Of course. I absolutely love this color. It's green and gorgeous. Yes. I am using my Purple TARDIS 2 Skein Tote by Slip Stitch Studios. Woohoo! All right. Now, to the last thing that I've been working on. Yeah, I was making pretty good progress with this shawl this past couple weeks, even with everything going on in my personal life. However, I got attacked on Thursday by Yarn Barf, and I really haven't picked it back up since then. Let me just preface that by saying that I skeined both of the yarn balls up that I'm using on my old ball winder, which was a butt, for lack of a better word. Apparently, I didn't notice that the ball winder had wrapped the silk all inside the ball as well as the outside, so it's a big mess at the moment. Since I really didn't have the brain power to figure it out at the time, it's been sitting in a bag since then. Probably should get back to that. Anyway, it's essentially in the corner until it stops being mean, or until I have the brain power to finally figure out what happened to it and fix it. So, but anyway, enough belly aching. The pattern that I'm using is the 2016 Mother's Day MCAL Mystery Knit Along Shawl by JL Frankenstein. Ah, love it. I'm using the some 100% silk, which is awesome. I've never used silk before. This is from Blue Moon Fiber Arts. Wow, say that again. Blue Moon Fiber Arts, the silk thread number 2 in the snowflake colorway. It's so white and it has awesome purple beading on it. Oh, I really love looking at it. Anyway, the needles I'm using are a US 7 Knitter's Pride Cubics 47-inch circular needles, yes. And the bag that I'm using on that one is the Knitter and Knitting Cat Bag by Twist Fiber Studio. So, babe,
Hmm.
how's the game going?
I am about to go from a baseball diamond into an underground fighting arena.
Huh.
Um, One thing that people around from outside the U.S. might not know is that the reason baseball is so popular in the U.S. is that all our pitchers' mounds are in fact secret express elevators into underground fighting arenas. So there you go. Or at least that's what Streets of Rage 2 would have you believe.
True, true. Is that you're fighting? Just a random dude, huh?
Well, random big guy. He'll be back later.
Oh boy. He'll be back again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now the pitcher's mound goes down into an elevator,
Whoa! Mind blown.
which in turn leads into an underground fighting arena.
All right, well, I'm just gonna move into needle adjacent while MTI continues fighting on this elevator.
It's a long elevator.
Yeah.
This is the one of the obligatory beat 'em up elevator stages.
Oh.
So it's
Right.
like every beat 'em up needs like the obligatory fight on some kind of elevator.
Of course. Well, while you're doing that, I'll mention that I'm going to start on my holiday knitting actually sooner rather than later. I always have grand plans of starting early and still tend to procrastinate. So give myself a better chance. I have all the pieces in place to start these projects. Yeah, just haven't started all but one, I think. I'll talk a little bit more about those projects as I start working on them. I also plan on knitting through all of the sock blinks that I have because I've become quite addicted and I really want to wear them sooner rather than later. Alright, I'm checking back in with MTI. Looks like he found a couple more bad guys to fight.
More elevator.
More elevator.
Wow, I just died. That's cool.
Oh, so no one CC?
Well, I still have plenty of lives, so that's good.
Okay.
But we'll see about that.
Mm,
I'm a couple lives below where I would want to be for that actually.
gotcha. Oh boy, baby. What am I gonna do? All right. Well, since you still got the elevator, you think you got enough time for doing the next section?
Go ahead, sure.
Okay.
Next section away.
Definitely. We have a review, y'all.
You have
Yes,
a review. I skimmed it. I'll be honest.
that's fine. This week we're actually going to review Minnesota 52 by Megan and Corey. They are the geniuses behind Knit Cahoots. I'll link the book website in the show notes. It's an awesome book. I really do recommend it. In fact, I liked it so much, we're just going to review it now and I'll be giving away a copy of the book. Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you that part.
No, you didn't. That's
um,
news to me.
Yes, it's a good prize. I would love it. So make sure you do leave a comment below here on YouTube or on the Ravelry group episode thread to be entered to win. I'll be choosing a winner using random number generator from those two places in, say, 2 weeks from today. So please make sure you enter. Okay, so first off, I love that the two of them chose to get Gail Zucker to do the photos and then Amber, the yarn hoarder's company, to print the books. The three models they chose were a perfect fit for each of these designs. I can't even. What did you think, babe, just by looking through it quick?
Well, I skimmed it quick, like I said, and the patterns and things I saw were kind of neat, and I like the way that the book sort of tells its own story about
Hmm.
their kind of trip around the country and around Minnesota,
Yeah.
and some of the patterns and the sweaters and the hats and things, and
Hmm.
how they will go well in Minnesota, I guess.
Yes. Well, see, you don't even have to be a knitter to kind of know, right? Like, hey, this looks like a book I can sort of read, right?
All right, the patterns themselves, I have no idea how.
Well, that's fine. Luckily for you, I can hold your hand through the whole thing. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just teasing y'all. It's really not that big. Anyway, there are different categories and I guess as Megan put it, different seasons throughout. The first category is the Snowy Road escapades. Now, I'm going to show you pictures when I edit this of the different patterns. So if I pause for a little while, you know why. In this particular category, there are two different sweaters. One's called Snow Snow Thank You. Love this. Absolutely gorgeous. And I love when I'm going through the pattern and I can see the different schematics and the different finishings and how you need to like measure. I'm not a sweater knitter and feel like I can take the book, use each step by step direction and just knit it right from the book. That's what you want in a knitting book. The second sweater in this category is called Nice Capades sweater. Corey, you did such an awesome job. I can't even. I'm looking through it now. I love how sometimes I just want to lick your brain. Like I, I really do. I know that sounds weird, but there it is. The next category is chevrons. I mean, come on, who doesn't love an awesome chevron? There are four different patterns on this category. The first one is called No Road Long Enough Infinity Cowl. I'm telling you, I am not a really big colorwork fan, but I feel like I can go ahead and just like there's clear charts. It's perfect. Like I can't. Like I said, I can't even. um, the next pattern is called No Mountain High Enough. Ready for that? That's a hat pattern. Okay. Then the next is the No Valley Low Enough Mittens. I mean, come on, Megan, seriously. You and your music references. That's why I absolutely love listening to you, to you and Amy. Let me tell you. Anyway, I absolutely love it. And then, so yeah, you see all the different charts and just everything you can possibly think of. Like the thumb has a separate chart. I mean, wow. And then, of course, you do have the Hootenanny hoodie. Perfect name. What do you think, babe?
Hmm?
What do you think? Perfect name,
Yeah.
Hootenanny.
And they take the trouble to describe to you what a hootenanny is, if you for some reason don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you don't even have to be from Minnesota to know what a hootenanny is at this point, right? Anyway, that's fine. Now we're gonna move on to the next section, which is stripes. Yes. Now, I'm not sure about some of the patterns. I don't know if I would knit them, but they look awesome. The way that like they have all the photos. It's clear. You can kind of see. I can't even, y'all. Anyway, the first one is they're the choose your own path. You have a cowl in there. Then you do have you have a hat and you have mitts. And then there is a pattern in there called Come Back Now shawl. Ugh, honestly, I think that might be my next lacy shawl that I do. Although I do need to take a break from shawls and casting on things, but I don't know, I kind of like that. And like she's got the charts are clear. I'm looking through and I'm like, okay, if I didn't know what something meant, she explains it right there. Like, come on, I don't even know what brioche is, but seriously, I feel like I can do it just by looking at her instructions. Megan, seriously. You guys outdid yourself with all of the descriptions of everything. I can't even. I really can't. All right, so the next section called alternate routes. Now, both of these patterns are sock patterns. I feel like I just want to cast them on. I'm looking at the pattern, like every little bit of detail you can possibly want in a pattern. You've got your breakdown of what you want in there, your stitch keys, everything. All right, so the first one in this is called Never Lost Together. Okay, and then the next one is called Shenana Friends socks. Like seriously, shenanigans and friends. Like, what more do you need on the road, right? So awesome. Oh, I can't even. I love the descriptions of everything. My mind is blown, yo. And I'm looking through. Shows you how to do Kitchener stitch if you didn't already know. How to set up gussets. That's a pretty awesome skill to know. So if you've never done a gusset heel before, it's all in there. All right. Now, we do have some summer shenanigans, which I had heard of one of these patterns before, and the other one I knew was kind of in the works. I had a little bit of a sneak peek. Anyway, for summer shenanigans, you have the beach please top. Yes. Megan's got an awesome sense of humor, and I love her. But let me tell you, like, I'm looking through, and I've always wanted to knit that top. So alone, this book is totally worth it. I'm telling you. And then the other one is the Friendship Road sweater, which has two lines on the pattern itself. One friend picks up the other, and then they go from there. Like you can't see it underneath the model's hair, but there's two different lines going across the top. I'll have to show you guys a picture, but absolutely gorgeous. All right, so the next section is called Taking a Detour. Two patterns in there as well. The Love Always cowl thing. I don't even know how you would describe that, Megan, because you can use that as a hat, you can use that as a cowl, like you can use it as a scarf. It's just so versatile, and like I said, I want to lick your brain. I don't even know how you got there from this, but it's such a simple pattern. I love it. I don't know if that's going to be the first thing I cast on or what. We'll see. That's fine. All right. So the other thing in the last pattern in the book, it's the Kahoot sweater. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Look at these owls, yo. They're so super cute. And you can customize it too, with like how many rows of owls you put on there. I mean, she's got pattern written out the way you would knit it too. Extra pattern notes and things like that. Ugh, I can't even. So also in the book, they do have a recipe for their bars, like treats that you can make. So even if you're not gonna knit anything right away, I can make some sweets. Yeah, so like I said, I do like that they include all the different stories that they have. There's a picture of them holding a fork. They said they found a fork in the road. I know, right? See, look, I wasn't kidding. I'll have to see if I can show you guys that photo, but it's definitely worth buying the book to kind of read through their stories and how they got together and things like that as well. And like I mentioned, their charts, everything is awesome. So yes, everything is clear and concise. Even if you're a novice knitter, like I mentioned before, you would definitely feel comfortable just jumping right in and knitting any of these items. Ah, well done, Corey. Well done, Megan. Ah, congrats, 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 congrats. All right, I've talked long enough, Empty. What's going on with the game right now?
Yes, I am cheesing the heck out of this boss, which means I am basically using no skill whatsoever.
Hmm.
I am basically the only way to really do anything with that boss is use your invincible special move over and over, which takes away a little bit of life, but
Hmm.
it got me through without losing too many lives otherwise. So I'm through stage 5 out of 8 levels.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it's only going to get harder from here.
Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry, babe. But you signed on for it.
Yep.
Anyway, so while you're kind of talking, you said you hadn't been. Have you been reading much recently? Just.
I've been reading much recently. Not in the way of books, although not per se. Um,
Hmm.
I did recently read a series of web posts, which I think were adapted from a book,
Hmm.
about Mr. William Bill Alexander III. And Bill Alexander is probably now, with the resurgence of Bob Ross, thanks to things on like Twitch TV,
Hmm.
he is probably best known now as the guy who taught Bob Ross, which, while that is true,
Hmm.
reducing Bill Alexander to just the guy who taught Bob Ross actually does him quite a disservice. He was
Hmm.
a very interesting dude in his own right.
Hmm.
The main thing is that before The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, Bill Alexander had his own PBS show,
Hmm.
which was The Magic of Oil Painting, which was actually very similar. And in fact, a lot of the things we associate with Bob Ross, like, the happy trees, for instance,
Hmm.
those actually started with Bill Alexander. Um,
Ah, okay.
but the rest of his life is, very, very interesting and kind of fascinating. He was during World War II, he was in the German army.
Hmm.
He was not a member of the Nazi Party, I should point out.
Hmm.
But he was in the German army during World War II because the choices, of course, were basically either you join the army or you die.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So he was actually taken prisoner of war by U.S. forces and kind of struck up a relationship with his captors,
Hmm.
if you will, via his art.
All right.
And actually, kind of once World War II ended, he kind of wandered the U.S. for a while in a van, just kind of selling his paintings, and
Hmm.
really didn't make it big, if you will. Didn't get the TV show and all that until he was basically well into his 50s, I think. So A little bit of hope for you late bloomers out there. Um, let's see, in I think 1983 he put out a book about his life, and I think that's the book that a lot of the posts that I read were kind of adapted from.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but yeah, he was a very interesting guy, and he did again. Now he's best known as the guy who taught Bob Ross, and then kind of had a falling out with Bob Ross. Uh, I don't really know exactly what caused it, but what I do know is that in 4 years, Bill Alexander went from, "Hey Bob, my painting company can't keep up with demand for supplies. You should, start your own company and do, painting supplies."
Mm.
That was in about 1987, and by 1991, Bill Alexander was, in so many words, his attitude was bleep Bob Ross.
Oh boy.
I think part of it is the fact that essentially after a while, Bob Ross came to view Bill Alexander as his competition, and so we're just like no longer mention his name.
Hmm.
And so Bill was not very happy about that. So,
Mm.
but anyway, that's what I've been reading lately, besides just stuff about Tetris the Grandmaster and things of
Uh,
that sort. So,
well, yeah. You gotta do your homework after
yeah,
all.
gotta do your research on playing Tetris really fast.
Well, yeah. So, yes, what have I been reading? Um, much is the short answer. Basically, I just finished my 100 book goal for the year, and I've actually expanded my goal to my new stretch goal, which is 120 books. I'm going to be linking my Goodreads account so that way you can just see what I've been up to because there's quite a bit. I'm gonna list off a couple, and by a couple I mean most of them. I did listen to this is the ones that I finished anyway. I have listened to number 8 Sandpiper Way by Demi Bakehomer. Also did read through Gods and Ends by Devin Monk. Also listened to A Cedar Cove Christmas, also by Debbie Bakehomer. Been reading through a little bit interesting books. Is that I want to put them? Anyway, I did have read through Hot Pursuit by Lynn Ray Harris, Shy Girls Write It Better by May Sage. There's The Billionaire Wins the Game by Melanie Ann, who's another one of my favorites. The Wedding Trap by Adrienne Bell, another of my favorites. One called Snowed In by Leela Monroe. And then the rest of them, I think I'm not going to mention except for one that's called Once Upon a Coffee, because coffee. That's pretty much what got my attention in the title, by Kate Nolan. And then there's a series I'm currently reading through. It is the Wish Upon a Stud series, which should tell you where my brain has been at a little bit. Um, the first book is called Going Down, and the second one is Man Candy. The third one is actually what I'm currently reading. Let me grab you the title. It's called Hot Wired. I literally picked it up and said, "Hey, I want to read it," and then put it back down. But that's a series by Elise Sachs. Also picked up The Shining by Stephen King back up. I have decided that this one has been on my currently read book list for far too long. I mean, I'm sitting at 60 something percent right now. Like, what is my issue? Like, I can't even. Also been listening to Dracula by Bram Stoker. It's being read by James Cummings, Tim Curry, and a whole cast of readers. I want to get back to it so bad. And then I'm also been listening to 92 Pacific Boulevard by Demi Makeover, which is the next in that Cedar Cove series. All right, so what are we up to in the game?
Oh, we're on stage 6. Okay, that's cool. And this is one of the more annoying sections of this game.
Oh, and I clued in right at the right time to make you talk,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. We have these like stereotypical dominatrix type ladies with the whips, and they're just actually really annoying to
Mm.
defeat by themselves when they have their friends with them. So,
Oh, okay. So, like you alluded to before, what have you been watching since you're talking?
what have I been
Watching.
watching?
What you watching?
What am I watching? Again, a lot of Twitch streams. I don't really do a whole lot in the way of, I would say, like watching, for instance, regular TV, or even, you know, don't watch a lot of TV
That's true. I do enough of that for both of us. What do you think?
That is true.
Well, based on the list of stuff that I've been up to, probably. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, I guess I'll say, well, what I'm watching, quite a bit. Also a much moment. I've gotten a chance finally to watch through the season finale of Doctor Who. Wow, I pretty much just sat there in the last 5 minutes of the episode holding my breath. I mean, who could stab the master in the back but the master? Who else would dare? I mean, it was a pretty funny touch, I have to say. As of last week, we had no idea who would be the next Doctor. But, it was pretty cool in this episode to see a portrayal of the first Doctor. I was pretty much geeked out when I had the I don't want to go again scene. It's a perfect way to bring everything full circle there for Moffat. And, if you don't know, he's the director of the series and he's kind of leaving with Peter Capaldi. But in other words, we did finally hear we have a female doctor. Yes! I should have included this in my favorite things, to be honest, but I figure, hey, whatever, I'll mention it now. Essentially, I heard the news and I was watching that reveal video, and then when MTI came home the other day, I was jumping up and down, quite literally. Female doctor, female doctor. It was kind of funny. I think that was pretty much everyone's reaction, for the most part, among my knitter friends that are also Doctor Who fans. So, yay! Anyway, I was also binge watching Smallville, up until season 6, episode 4. Yes, there are some interesting episodes, especially where Lex becomes Zod. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Oh yeah, it's been off the air for a while, so if you hadn't seen that episode, I'm so sorry. Anyway, I also, since we had finally heard who the new doctor was, I decided, you know what? I need to watch her whole body of works to kind of see how she's going to be. Now, if you hadn't known, she was in a little show called Broadchurch over the past couple years. They're in series 3 now. Episode 4, I think, is coming up on tomorrow, actually. Um, I have watched from the very beginning up until last Thursday's episode. I really am in love with the series, and I just can't wait to see where it's going from here. There's a lot of difficult points that I came up with or was thinking about, but that's, I didn't think I would like a crime drama, but I like it. I can't help it. Um, so also besides the TV, I have been watching and listening to a few podcasts. There were 3 full episodes of The Knit Girls this past couple of weeks. The Stockinette Zombies had their awesome episode there. Round the Twist had an episode, as well as the Geeky Girls Knit podcast. Wait, don't even get me started on Cece and Dammy. I love those ladies. Stitching the High Notes had her full episode, as well as a Outlander knit along winter episode that I just watched today. So cool. I cannot get enough. And the Grocery Girls. They did have 2 episodes of Off Our Needles. If you don't know what that is, it is a craftsy class series that these two ladies actually host, and in their second season. They're so funny, and it's pretty much just an extension of their podcast. But in the middle of that, I did happen to have an episode that I was watching, so that's always a start. So I also was watching an episode of Knit the Books. It was basically their Frog It or Finish It episode. Essentially made me think that maybe I should just weed out some of my works in progress. I mean, finishing them would be best, but some of them are just, they've been on the needle so long that I don't even think I would ever finish them. But, it's an episode that got me thinking, so, more power to them. And of course, I have been listening a lot actually to the Knitmore Girls. I am currently up to episode 123 as of 20 minutes ago before we started recording. All right. So, Hen, do you have a final check-in for us?
A final check-in. This
Yes.
is not going so well right now.
Oh,
I
no.
am trying to fight dominatrix lady and 2 ninjas on conveyor belts. I mean, it's
Oh
not
no.
going as well as it could be.
And of course, the physics of the game are true to life.
Something like that. But okay, we got through that part anyway.
Oh, cool.
So now obligatory elevator section number 2.
Oh,
This is a little
good.
bit different. But, yeah.
All right. So while you're fighting that elevator scene, let's do our sign off if you don't mind. So I'm pretty social. You can actually find me on the Ravelry board, which is Silver's Dreamland podcast. I am Silver Luna 2112 there on Ravelry. On Facebook, Silver's Dreamland can be found at www.facebook.com/Silver's Dreamland. On Twitter, I am both at Silver's Treats and Silver's Dreamland. I'll link those as well in the podcast notes. On Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I do tend to read through all messages as soon as I possibly can. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, please feel free to email me directly at silversdreamlandpodcast@gmail.com. As always, anything and everything that I talk about can be found in the show notes at www.silversdreamlandpodcast.com. All right, hun.
Okay, my turn to plug myself. So I
Yes.
have a Twitch stream at www.twitch.tv/MTI. EMPTYEYE. I can be found on Twitter at MTI.com. MTIDOT.com. I have a YouTube channel at the same email or the same username.
Mm.
And but other than that, I'm not on like Instagram or any of those other
Social
websites.
medians, yeah. But you do have a website.
I do have a website, which is, believe it or not, MTI.com. And I write about video games and speedrun culture and other things of that sort there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's pretty much a blog, but everything
yeah,
else mixed in.
yeah.
All right, so we have rambled on for long enough. We do know your time is valuable, so please feel free to join in any discussion or even start your own on the Silver's Dreamland Ravelry board. I promise I don't bite. Stay tuned for episode 30 on the 19th. So, sorry, 19th. What is next week? What,
Next
next
week will be
Wednesday?
the 26th.
The 26th. Wow, you can tell I skipped a week. Anyway, until next time, happy knitting and happy crafting.
Bye bye.